Welcome to the Hot Rod Hangout Podcast.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Ashley.
And tonight we got to sit down, on tonight's episode, we get to sit down with Brighton Pravat and Kenna, his girlfriend, that they are starting out BP Kustomz, local to us. That's actually who's going to build the chassis for the Model A.
Oh, yes.
So I'm excited for that. But before that gets started, we're just going to go over reminding the dates.
Yep, we've got one lonesome date right now for June. June 16th, which is Father's Day. It is also our monthly cruise. So we are going to be meeting everybody at the Napa in Bushnell about 10:30. And then head over to barbecue and ice cream, which was a dad favorite.
Yep, that was, we had the dad's vote, and my dad was the only one that voted, so he got to pick where we were going.
Yep.
But for everybody local to us, or not, I mean, if you're local to us, come meet us, go cruising. You got to take your dad to lunch anyway. You might as well come cruise your hot rods with them.
Exactly.
And if you're not local to us, take your father on a cruise wherever you're at, get out, enjoy the time spent, it's a short time span that you get to spend with them. So,
Yep.
And let's get into this interview.
Alrighty.
So what's going on, guys? Like, how's everything going?
Not much.
Good.
Doing pretty good.
So happy that y'all got to come over and hang out with us for a little while. I guess we'll start with what kind of got y'all into the car or mini trucks or the obsession.
To be honest, I had a friend, Shaler, and I wasn't really into the lowrider stuff that much, and he asked me to go to a couple shows with him. I went to a couple shows and fell in love with just the fabrication side of it, and just because of being in racing my whole life, I like welding, I like making stuff out of metal, and it just grew on me and kind of got that obsession of putting everything on the ground and going from there.
Very cool. And Kenna, what got you into this?
I've kind of always been into it. My sister used to date a guy who had a lowrider in high school, and she would never go to any of the truck shows or anything, so I was always the one tagging along.
And then you kind of have to, that's how Ashley got started. It was kind of, this is what we're doing, so either hang out or don't.
Yep.
So what's currently the favorite car that you have? I know you have a couple.
Yeah, I like my little white truck, which is, Nissan 720. I like it. Her truck is definitely going to be nice, obviously.
Yeah.
That's going to be the favorite.
Oh, we're off the extended cab now? You don't like the extended cab?
I like it. We'll see if it stays.
It's a work in progress.
I think it's going to stay, but you just can't say that too loud over there.
Yeah.
You got to sell them to make money so you can build another something or other.
Yeah, and Cooper needs a place to sit. He can sit in the back of that one.
He might be able to. Might be able to put speakers back there and it'd be done.
Well, y'all got two trucks. I mean,
Yeah.
you can ride in either one of them.
Yeah.
So what's the car that got away? Truck that you miss or had a chance to buy and just didn't line up? Or
If I had to guess, what mine would be, I was building a Mazda V2200. It was an 89, and I did a lot. Built the frame, built everything for it. It was definitely going to be nice. Had a 57 Ford Fairlane dash, cut and grafted, suicide doors. It's going to have a 2JZ in it out of a Nissan Skyline. And had a guy stop by the shop and offer me enough money that I couldn't finish it. So I should have kept it, should have finished it, because it definitely would have made some statements.
Model A will make some statements when it's done.
That is a fact. That is a fact.
So, unlimited budget, what would you build?
Oh, man. I'm a sucker for Cadillacs. I really am. I like Cadillacs. I like the Continentals. Unlimited budget would probably be a 59 Vert. just because they're long, got the big fins. Especially with an unlimited budget, you can hire a pretty good body man, and it better shine like a mirror.
Yeah. Verts, you got to be a pretty good body man to keep them lines straight.
You're for sure about that.
So, unlimited budget, what would you have Brain build?
That's a hard one. I kind of fell in love with the Lincoln Navigators on the ground. They're pretty.
If you haven't noticed, everybody, everything's got to be on the ground.
That's for sure. Everything looks good tucking wheels.
It does. I've actually told Ashley that. She's like, "Oh, that car's ugly." I'm like, "Type bagged." Mm-hmm. Oh, it looks pretty good now.
Changes the whole look. Yep. Changes the profile. It's definitely a lot better that way.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm not a fan of Hummers, and one popped up on our news feed on the podcast, and it was slammed. And I'm like,
one?
Okay,
yeah, I think so. I think Brad DeBerdy's the 6-wheel.
Okay, so there's a blue one also that's in Acrophobia that Jim Ellingham owns, and it's got a bunch of graphics on it and stuff like that. It's a pretty sharp, Hummer.
Yeah. But it looks so much better when it was on the ground.
She's coming around already. Yeah. Just wait, she's going to have the extended cab.
Oh, gee. Oh, goodness.
So, what show or event do you try to make every year?
I make it a goal to go to Slamfest just because that was kind of one of the first decently big shows that I went to. Went the first year that it was in Gainesville, and then kept going, and then it got moved back to Tampa. I try to make it a point to go to it almost every year. Out-of-state shows, I really haven't went to a lot other than Battle in Bama, Sick Nick when it was big. But we're definitely going to make it a goal to travel with more now that we got a couple that are going to be finished within the year. So
us too. So on that same topic, what's a show you've never been to that you'd like to get to?
There's two really. I would like to go to Mini Truck Nationals, Maggie Valley, obviously. Just because it's, a lot of small trucks, and I cater to the small trucks, even though I've built big ones. Just light, low, and kind of small kind of deal. But I also, too, want to go to Lone Star Throwdown just because that's where a lot of the big guys bring really nice stuff. Whether it's full sizes, minis, lifted stuff, rat rods, everything there is nice. You don't really have much junk riding around.
No, but it'll just be our junk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we touched a little bit on the extended cab. What's the current project besides my chassis?
Your chassis, finished Kenna's wheel tub in the front on the brake booster side. Started it the other night. It's going to look pretty good once it gets done. Finish that, get the metal work done, and then send that thing off to get painted or get wired, and then finish that extended cab. More interior work, fuel pump, stuff like that, and it'll be running and driving pretty good.
So, did we pick a color?
The green for mine.
Yeah.
More than likely the red for the extended cab.
Yeah.
It's going to be Christmas.
So, yeah. She couldn't really... She said on the green for hers, but she really likes the red, so we'll probably have the extended cab painted that red just so she's got the...
I'm not a red fan. I'm not a red fan, but that red is clean.
Yeah.
I'm hit or miss on it. It looked good, and I think it's going to look good on a small truck. I feel like if you were to paint a full size anything extended cab full size, you need to have the thing jacked up on 30-inch wheels or something like that. But, I just, candies are always weird. They either look good or they don't. They look too, I guess, too flashy, in my opinion.
Well, usually candies are better in a graphic.
More, yeah, especially if you can split them up with other candies or like on a black base or something, white base, either way. A solid color candy kind of is rough sometimes.
Yep. So, BP Kustomz.
Yeah, that's, I mean, pondered with names for years, and I didn't really have a name, just did a couple vehicles and stuff, built Wilkie's, did a suspension on Wilkie's truck that was in trucking and street trucks and stuff, and was hanging out with a lot of people from Acro and all that stuff, and we just all had come up with it back then, and kind of had some like low-key stickers made and stuff, but then got away from it, and then Kenna's idea was kind of to rekindle it, so I guess we're going to rekindle it and slowly start building it again.
We have to with all the projects we have, and
Yeah.
gotta get your name out there.
Yeah. I definitely like to be able to do it full time. I know it's hard, but it's definitely something that I got a passion for, and not to toot my own horn, but I can do some stuff pretty good. So
That's the goal. I mean, that's why we started the podcast, was to try to pay for the fun.
yeah, definitely.
You know, afford the fun. Even if it didn't make us money, at least, pay for us to go to shows.
Yeah. I just like to see the look on people's face, like when you get to something that you build, and then they look, and they're like, "Oh man, how did he do that?" Or like, "What went into all this?" And that's the wow factor that I like. I mean, especially with Kenneth's little Toyota. I mean, not many people stuffing LS inside of an '89 Toyota that's body dropped and all, and it's been a chore to do, but it's definitely coming out fairly nice.
Well, I mean, you're kind of doing the weird.
Yeah, the abnormal for sure.
No one lays Model A's on the ground either, but
No, not it's not as common as just making them into just lowered with big motors, So it's definitely
usually they just do rear suspension to set it on the ground, but
yeah, they leave the front up, yeah.
But it's definitely the things that I've noticed. Like when we go to shows, a lot of times the people that are pushing the envelope are something different, because especially in mini trucks, there's only so many different models. So a square body S10 next to a square body S10, if they're all done the same, then it's just they blend in.
It's kind of where the C10 era has went now. Anything from a 69 up to square body C10s. There's just so many of them, and there's not a lot that you can do to them now that you stand out. So that's why I kind of cater towards the little trucks now and stuff that you can't find, like 85 720. Toyotas are quite common, but we're doing stuff with them that's not common.
No, but both of those trucks. You're a little white truck. I like that white truck, and her truck being with the LS and the way you're doing some of the interior and stuff like that, it sets it apart.
Yeah,
makes it weird.
The little white truck will definitely be a lot better once the bed and stuff's done. Like in my opinion, now, yes, it's nice on the outside, but it's still a 100-footer in my opinion. Some people would die to have the little truck, and I'm still trying to push that envelope.
Well, they're never done.
No, never.
We were talking about Justin and Howard Smith with that little orange truck.
Yeah.
The reason it left was to make changes to bring it back out to make it better, and they never made them. Yeah,
and I actually had, when I was in high school, right out of high school, actually, I had a chance to buy that truck from a guy that lived right there at that house by Bushnell Paint and Body. And I guess he had some issues with the air ride or something like that, and we went to buy it, and he had cut that bed up. And I just remember as a kid, like what like made me admire some of it too was watching them during the fall festival, because acrophobia was everything back then, and you had Bo Stevens and you had Howard and all of them at Bushnell Paint and Body. They were all in it, and they just it was that S10 when they told me that they had over 100 hours of body work just in the core support of the thing. I could never even put together what that's like. And now, doing the vehicles that we're doing, I can see where time gets pushed into it.
Oh, and just the pushing the bar. Back that was, or late 2000s, 2010-ish. And, the envelopes that were getting pushed back then, because even 06 to 08, when I was kind of more mini truck stuff, if you had 20s on an S10, you were like the man, and if it laid on the ground, you were like impressive.
Yeah, because there's a lot of, no-notch tie rods, stuff like that you have to do to even make it. And back then, it wasn't as easy as clicking on internet and finding no-notch tie rods and putting them in. You had to cut frame. You had to do everything. And I think that's what pushes me towards the mini truck stuff, is because there's so much fabrication that goes into it. Like, it's not just buying a bolt-on kit and throwing it on there and going. You've got to actually think about some of the stuff. So
Definitely. So, what's a show that you've never been to that you'd like to go to, since you're being quiet over there?
I've seen a lot of videos for Rolling in the Red Rocks, and that one looks pretty cool.
yeah, anything out that west side, that's their way of car shows is extremely more than what like Florida and Georgia and all that could ever put on. Arizona stuff out there is crazy. That's definitely something for a bucket list for us to go to.
Yeah, I was talking to my dad last night about that, and the Florida show scene. I mean, it used to be every other month you had something, either Florida, just over the line in Georgia, Alabama, and now it's gotten to where it's, I mean, you have Made of Steel, Slamfest, Turkey, sorta.
You've got Mike Murray. He puts on Eastbound Get Down. That's a pretty good show. Which he was the old promoter for Slamfest, which is what kind of pushed that to be so big too. And then he went his own way. But Mike Murray and them, they have their podcast thing too, and they're awesome people. They put every show that they ever put on is pretty good. Like Do It in the Dark used to be over in Lakeland and whatnot. That was a pretty good show too.
But they're all vanishing.
They're all fading out. Yep.
But I mean, I did see a post between Mini Nats and Battle and Bama. They raised, I think it was $1.5 million or something.
Oh, for sure.
For something. Yeah. So it's still alive and well.
Yeah, the nice thing about Battle and Bama, which I didn't understand until we had watched a video on it, but Battle of Bama has like 4 different shows inside actual Battle of Bama. Like you've got OBS Nationals, you've got the C10 deal over there also as well. You've got $1 Million Row. That's where it's nothing but cover trucks and stuff like that. I mean, that's Craig Raleigh and them have built that to where when it was at the actual I forget what the name of the place is, but it's got the ship and all that there. But from when it had first started to now, I mean, just the caliber of vehicles that show up there, and not just lowered stuff, just hot rods.
It's everything. Yeah.
It's everything. And
Yeah,
that's nice to see.
Yeah, Battle and Bama is very inclusive to everything. Where Mini Nats, we watched the video on that, and they actually had a couple hot rods and stuff cruising, but it's more catered.
Yeah, I still wish though that like more of your car shows would be done. Like I appreciate it being done at like Talladega and stuff because you have so much room. You've got the garages, but back to like the mini truck nationals, it's because you get to cruise, you get to do that. That's all part of that weekend, and I feel like the shows should be more like that. Like Slamfest down here, you go to the fairgrounds and you walk around, look at the vehicles and all that, and then the nightlife is really not there. Yeah. You might get a hotel parking lot party for an hour or so, and 2012, 2013 at Slamfest in Gainesville. I mean, there's 3 hotels next to each other. Not to bring up bad things, but people are going to jail because it was such a party there. I mean, but I like cruising. I like getting into the deal where you drive them, and a lot of these guys that build these $1 million show trucks are not driving them. They're building them to put on a trailer, haul to the show, unload it. They might drive it from the trailer to the parking spot, and that's it. And I don't believe in that. You need to take it to a gas station every weekend and let a young kid see that or something like that, because that's what's going to keep building more stuff.
I'm sorry, was that Matt talking? Because I feel like
I said before this podcast that mini trucking and hot rodding have a lot in common, and that's a big one. Get out and drive your shit, because
that's why we do.
Like you
cruise.
said, I mean, how many times have we been in the 54 and some little kid walk past something that's new and cool? Be like, what is it? Because they've never seen it.
Yeah.
And the same with mini trucks sitting on the ground. Like a lot of people don't even know this shit exists until it's sitting at a gas station or sitting at a red light next to them, and get out and enjoy your stuff. That's my thing is I can't, the amount of money that goes into these cars, and it's like, oh, that's cool. It sits in my garage. So I can say I have it.
It's a good conversation piece, but why not make it a conversation piece out on the road?
Yeah.
And that's what's wrong with today too. Is you've got the young kids that all they see is, and not to say anything bad about lifted stuff, because lifted stuff, they do good stuff too as well. But you see that more common. You see these kids pull up to the gas station with big wheels and lights, and that's all they see. And I feel like if you were to see, I feel like if you were to see hot rods more, you would draw more people to it. Well, appreciate that stuff.
That was one of the reasons why we put the LS in mine, because I wanted an automatic so I could drive it weekly, if not daily.
Yeah, and we pondered, like, obviously it had a 22R in it, carbureted, and what did they make, like 78 horsepower to rear tires back then? And that's with a standard, and she didn't want a standard, and I talked to some friends about, okay, what automatic could I put behind it? We looked at the Celica transmissions, everything, but no matter what you did, even putting an automatic behind that 4-cylinder, it was going to drown it down even more. Yeah. And I had made my mind up. I was like, I'm not putting an automatic in it unless we put some power in it, and that's the way we went with the LS stuff.
Oh, and I mean the LS platform, I mean that's an amazing platform. It's pretty much plug and play, as long as you're not trying to make ridiculous power. But even they're easy to make power.
Yeah, I always laugh at that where that people say LS swapped the world, but it's honestly the truth. I mean, it's like they're so versatile in anything you want to put them in. There's, like you said, plug and play harnesses for almost everything out there.
You can make stock dashes work with them now. There's like, I was early in the LS swap the world thing, and it was just you ran a Holly dash or some ghetto gauges and the arm out the window to get your mile per hour. But now with GPS speedometers, Holly's new 7-inch dash, Dakota makes a plug and play for LS harnesses for basically everything. Other than open hood situations, I don't agree with LS's.
Yeah, I mean the LS side of it is it's because you can, I used to listen to like a talk deal too, and it's guys from like Pro Performance up there in Arizona, and you could have a guy spend $25,000 on a 383 stroker, and somebody could go spend $1,500, $2,000 on a junkyard 5.3 out of a 2005 Cat Eye Chevrolet, and make more power than what he's going to make just with long tube headers, a tune, and a mile cam. I mean, it's just it's no brainer to go with it anymore.
Well, I mean your background in racing. I mean, if you got 1 horsepower per cubic inch out of a small block Chevrolet, you were killing it.
Yeah.
Now, I mean,
well, think about the racing stuff that I did. It was mainly 4-cylinder stuff. So, I mean, you drop a cylinder in the 4-cylinder, you got a pedal start scooter is all you got.
Yeah, but even back then, I mean, the 2.3 Ford motor, I mean, wind them tall and hope they go. I mean,
yeah, they're ticking time bombs. Anything really is. I mean, those 2.3s that we used to run in a race car. I mean, you're taking a motor that's not made to turn over 3,500 and turn it almost $9,000 constantly. I mean, it's going to be a ticking time bomb. Same thing with the LS. I mean, but they say bottom ends of LSs can last up to 800 horsepower stock because the harmonics are perfect in them.
I mean, they're better flowing. They're better. I mean,
yeah, there's certain heads that you can get that are better flowing too.
But I mean, even truck heads, $799. That's what we ran on most of the stuff that we did.
Yeah, it's like I forget what the numbers are. Like 243, you got big valves, stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean, a $600 Chinese hair dryer, and you're making $800. You got $3,000 in a motor, and go run 10s and drive it to go get ice cream after.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what that Pro Performance and all that, they would tell you. You could build something that had 800 horsepower with an LS and still get 25 miles to the gallon. You're not going breaking the bank or taking a loan out to drive it to a truck show.
Oh, and I mean, every time you hit the key, it starts.
That's a fact.
Whereas the 54 out there tells you when you're leaving. Like,
If you're leaving.
and there has been some times, hey, I'm not going to take it to work today because
Well, I don't know, because I've had some trucks in the past that I've had to pray to God before I turn that key over, thinking that they're going to start, a.k.a. that black dually I had.
there was other gremlins involved in it.
Yes, very much like.
But, I mean, fuel injection is the future. Model A is not going to have fuel injection, but
Yeah, fuel injection is the future, but I still cater to carburetors. It's hard to screw up fuel and spark, and that's it. Now you've got sensors and all that, and the LS definitely made it nice, but it's hard to beat a carburetor. Mess with a float, and that's it. What you see, a lot of guys put the intake and stuff like that on the LS now with the carburetor, and they're still making good power with those too.
oh yeah, you got carb swap with the MSD 6AL box, and they run fine. I'm putting 3 carburetors on the Model A though, because I love to beat my head against the wall. But that's more just for looks. I mean, if Holly would come out with a 3-barrel EFI, I'd probably put it on there, but I want it to look, when it's riding by, I want it to look as close to, oh yeah, that's what it looked like in the 50s or 60s. And then stop and lay it on its ass and then make people wonder how it got there.
Yeah.
So what's one piece of advice that you'd try, or that you would give somebody that's trying to get into the car culture?
Patience. I mean,
I was going to say the same thing.
something that I don't have. I've gotten better.
Sounds familiar.
I've gotten a lot better than I was, but patience is everything. This stuff takes time, especially if you're starting from the ground up. I mean, it's not like snap your fingers and it's going to be done. It's a time thing, and that's one thing I had to teach Kenna. Like, she was buying this Toyota and then, putting LS in it and spending. She saw nothing but dollar signs going out the window, but not much being done. And I'm like, it just takes time. Like, you buy this for spend $1,000 in parts, but that might only be to get you a month or two ahead of actual schedule, and it's not all stuff is not going to always be visible when it's done. It's just little behind the scenes things that make that visibility happen. Mm-hmm. And that's definitely patience. I would, that and trust somebody. Don't don't have somebody do some work to it and then just run behind their back and bury them. Like, give them that opportunity to fix anything, because that's what buries small companies is, if you don't give them the opportunity to fix whatever went wrong, or if they did it wrong, then you're not no better than they are. And I just, give them the opportunity to fix something, have trust in them, and have patience with them as well.
So, what advice would you give a young lady that's trying to get into this?
I would say a lot of patience. Have a really good job to afford it all.
Well, I mean, even if you don't have a good job, if your obsession with cars is done,
Well, yeah, it can be as minimal as what you want, or you can go as big as you want. But a lot with my truck had a lot of metal work, so
yeah.
Weeks on end, I would come out to the garage and be like, "So what'd you do today?" When he's really been working all day on all the metal work.
Metal work takes time, that's for sure. But even if you don't have a lot of money and you say you've got a Ford Pinto or something like that and you want to go to car shows, I mean, if you put 20s on a Ford Pinto or something like that, shoot, go show it off. You're still supporting car scenes no matter what, and that's what they need more of. Don't be scared. Don't be scared to enter, even if you don't think your vehicle's nice. Like, don't be scared to enter it in a show, because the more vehicles that are entered in a show, the better. People are going to come back and see it, and you might not think it's the best thing. Like, I'm my worst enemy. I might not think my white truck is the best thing in the world, but some people might. And there's been times where I've said I wasn't going to put it in a show, and then she's made me. So it's
We've ended up in shows that we didn't enter. Webster this month at Webster, I was going to park it in the parking lot, and the guy's like, I'm like, no.
And that's honestly that's the worst. Is like, I've been to out of state car shows and all this stuff, and went to other car shows, and then like be leaving the show at the end of it or getting ready for the next day, and you walk out in the parking lot and you're like, good Lord, like, there's nice vehicles out here. Why are they not in this show? And some of it is, okay, they might not need or might not have this extra money to do it, but somebody will spot you. I mean, it's, you know, somebody will help you out, especially if it's something, you know, definitely need to get into that. If somebody can't, you know, afford the $20 or $30, if they're willing to help on anything or willing to hang out, I mean, spot them a couple of dollars and get them in the show. The more vehicles that show up, the better.
We've always said that the prettiest cars are in the parking lot anyway because they're the biggest critics.
Exactly.
You know, and on the metalwork and stuff, you know, you can, on any build, if you go simple, it costs less money, but simple is going to make you look like everybody else there. Yeah,
sometimes it does, and sometimes simple is better. I've seen a lot of simple rides that are
I'm saying like the way you rounded her bed around and stuff like that wasn't quote unquote necessary, but it makes it look better.
Yeah, no,
it makes it look finished.
Yeah, the reason why I like doing that though, like even with the mini truck beds, like I probably won't do it on mine, but as like her bed and then Wilkie's bed that I did, and he wanted the rounded corners, and after thinking about it with her bed, it was in such rough shape when I got it that you had to add some kind of structure there so it wouldn't twist or wouldn't do nothing. So rounding the corners and making it look like it was meant to be that way also gave it good looks, but it gave it structure. And you see a lot of trucks that are like, you might see this thing in a magazine in February, but by March when they're at another show, the bed is ripped up the side or paint's chipping off because of vibration of the bed, and why spend all that money, you know, and then having it rip apart.
A lot of times, like that's, and a lot of time, like the Model A will be this way. It's going to one show, probably not painted, and then the next, it'll improve as it goes.
Yeah,
because of that money thing.
Yeah, that's.
I'm my worst thing, or worst. I guess you could say critic on that deal is like, my dad was always like, "Oh, don't take it to a show like unfinished," and I'd like to, because I like to you know, show off the work that's being done on anything. Like I've wanted to, you know, take her truck already. She doesn't want it to go. She wants it to completely finished and gone. But on the side of that too, I'm the type of person that if somebody walks up and is like, "Oh, well, why didn't you do this? Or why didn't you do that? Or you could have done this," then I would probably get mad because you're not in the shop putting any hours. It's the way that I wanted to do it. But I do like showing off work too. But also with the work that I do, you know, I don't have all these fancy tools these people got, like benders and all that stuff. Like I do most of my work by hand, grinder, and you know, welder, and that's it. And that's the stuff that I feel like I can do with just that little bit of tools. You know, obviously it could be probably, I don't know, better with bigger tools, but at the same time, I've taught myself to do it the old school way, and that's just the way that I like doing it.
Oh, and I mean, it may make it more efficient, faster, or you know, the process smoother. But at the end of the day, you're getting the same result, and your hands are in it. It's not that. I mean, I don't know how many times that you go somewhere and you're looking at a sheet metal and that stamp had a little burr in it, and now all of a sudden that metal's got a burr in it, and no one caught it. And now,
my problem is I don't have trust in it. Like I just don't. I'm the only one that mainly touches everything, and the reason for that is because I've watched people, you know, that own companies hire their $12 an hour guy, and then, you know, they trust them to do it, and then it fails. Well, then now it makes their shop look bad. Mm-hmm. And instead of putting all my faith into somebody else doing the job right, I just made myself do it. That's all it was.
Well, and I've said that because I would like to do something, you know, whether it's flipping cars, or whether it's a build for myself and then sell it at the end after I get tired of it and want to build something different after the Model A. The Model A is not going anywhere. But, you know, that stuff. And it's like, I don't want to build shit for other people, like other cars. Because, like, I was just talking to one of my buddies, does very impressive hot rod work. And I called him, and I was like, hey, like, what's up, man? Like, and he basically was like, fuck cars. I was like, what? Like, I'm like, you're doing good, dude. He's like, no, I have 2 cars, and they're due by the end of this month, and they keep changing stuff, and I've now had to redo this. It was taillight section on a shoebox Ford. And he's like, I've had to redo the taillights 4 times because I get it exactly the way they wanted it, and then they go to a show or the internet or...
They see this, yeah.
Oh, well, it would look better with these taillights.
Yeah.
Can we do that? Well, we could, but I already got all this shit laid out. Well, I'm the customer and I'm paying you. Okay, well, here we go.
That's fine, but when you get your bill and it's higher, don't complain.
Yeah.
I mean, you're paying for that guy's work, and time is money on everything, especially metal work.
Oh, and he quit. I mean, he had his own business that wasn't cars, and he quit that business to do cars to try to afford some ability. And I know you'll understand this, you know, with his son and his wife. And he's like, well, now all of a sudden I'm 60 feet away from him, but I got to go out and get this car done. He's like, it's taken away from my family. He's like, this was the whole point of me coming home was so I could have them here with me. And he's like, my son doesn't, you know, he eats supper and, hey, watch a movie with me, Dad. Oh, I can't. I got to go out to the shop. So he's backed off to 1 customer car at a time.
I'm all for doing the 1 at a time deal just because you can focus on and get that thing out. But if you're doing it as a business, you kind of have to have, you know, your next duck in a row. Or, you know,
yeah.
If not, you can't. Car stuff is not as, like, promising as a regular 9-to-5 job. Mm-hmm. You know, you're going to run, like I do plumbing, obviously. Plumbing is always going to be there. So I guaranteed paycheck pretty much all the time. With car stuff, people don't really have to have that done, especially with custom car stuff. So it's you kind of have to build your clientele up a little bit. You know, the 1 car thing, unless you're doing $100,000 work and you're making a year out of it, then by all means do that. But
well, and I mean, what I meant by that was he's filling himself in where instead of 2 ground up builds going at the same time, he has a ground up build over here and he's filling it in with his buddy needs a car painted or his buddy needs his car body worked or, you know, somebody wants, you know, rear tail dragger set up.
Yeah, I mean, the little things that can put, you know, money into business.
Yeah.
To buy better tools to do the bigger jobs or something like that.
And I mean, the kid that I'm referring to as, I mean, he's in that $150,000-$200,000 to have him build a car.
Yeah, that's
league.
Yeah, I don't think the mini truck life will ever get to that point. There's not a lot of people other than, you know, being in acro and stuff, and I see a lot of people, you know, in Aftermath and, you know, Negative Camber and all those guys that have a lot of money. They do sink a lot of money in it, but it's not like hot rod guys. Hot rod guys will refinance their house to build a car.
Well, and also the big hot rod guys, we're talking with a gentleman, and I was like, man, how do you spend, because there was a guy spent $225,000 to go win America's Best Roadster. It left America's Best Roadster, went to Mecum and sold for $80,000.
Yeah, you shoot yourself in the foot on that.
I said I'd have vomited in my mouth. Like, and he said it was a write-off.
Yeah, but that's okay if you got a big company.
He said 90% of the people that come in and have us build cars for them is they get to write this car off for 2 years, because that's the minimum we'll take, is it's going to take 2 years. If you come in and ask us to build your car, it's going to take 2 years. He said, so they write off complete loss of this car for 2 years, which makes their taxes better. He goes, and then they go, and it's a labor of love, and then they sell it, and they write the loss off again. He goes, so you get 3 years of, basically, you had a loss in your personal income. He goes, and I'm like, I would still vomit in my mouth. Like, that's ridiculous to have that much money.
To know I took over $100,000 gamble on that, you know, that's to do. I mean, honestly, like, if I was going to build a vehicle that was like of that caliber, the only thing that I would build it for is to win the Riddler Award. Like, that's it. Like, it would, and I would never, I don't think I'll ever be to that caliber to where I can go run against those guys. But at the same time, it's like, that's the only thing that I could put together is spending that much money on it. But some of these shops, man, they're like, their hourly rates are, I understand they're paying, you know, I guess you're a bunch of guys to do the work, but are they, how do you know for a fact that, okay, I'm going to do this hourly thing, and then if that guy goes to use the bathroom or something for an hour and watch YouTube videos or TikTok, now you've got another $125 to $150 if that, say that shop's, you know, an hour just added to it, and they didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I see their shop side of doing it hourly wise like that, but also too, I mean, set prices on most of the things. If you don't, if you fail it, then that's on you. That's not on a customer to pay for that, in my opinion. But
yeah, but the problem, like on ground up builds where you kind of know what you're going to Roadster shop and buying a chassis, you're going here and buying a body, you can kind of figure out a budget prior. But if someone was to bring, you know, our 54 into a shop and go, hey, I want it to be the next coolest custom, well, until they take that body off and figure out that there's license plates underneath the floorboard. You know.
Yeah. That's what makes or breaks a build too. It's not ever, you know, frame wise or nothing like that, hardly at all. It's either if the customer provides their own motor and claims it's rebuilt, and then it blows a head gasket sitting there, you know, first fire up, that's going to break a bank because now you got to go buy a new motor. Or there's just, you know, you have these Picassos of Bondo out there, and they, you know, that's body work is not cheap, and paint is not cheap anymore. I mean, just like her paint. I mean, I don't know how much it's going to take to paint her little truck. I mean, I would have to guess that we're probably going to have to buy 1.5 gallons or so, probably just to make sure we're clear. But even if we get away with 1 gallon, but shoot, it's still, you know, $700, $600 for 1 gallon or something like that.
Yeah, the green one was like $600, and the red one's like $800. So.
I mean, and that's just buying the paint. That's not, you know, having, you know, somebody
and getting it,
buying the clear
getting
coat.
it square. Yeah.
I mean, by the time you get done, you got $1,500, $2,000 into paint, and then that's just by buying the paint. Now you've got to pay somebody to body work, paint it, and do all that, because by no means can I ever paint anything. So.
But, and also, you know, it makes me nervous to build, like, people that are talking about building cars for Riddler or Amber or any of the Grand National Roadster Show. Like, you get one shot.
Yeah, one shot, and that's it. Because, in all honesty, those guys have such a like, I don't know how to word this, but they have such a clientele and all that. Like, if they say, okay, we're going to build this, take it to Detroit Autorama, try to get a Riddler award and all that stuff, like, that's your image. That is everything. If you don't win, or you don't even make the grade 8 or anything like that, then everybody's going to know, okay, well, obviously something he did was not up to par or anything. So it's a make or break on either way.
Well, even, I mean, you know, you got, I forget who it was. Oh, it was Roadster Shop. I forget who the builder or who the owner of the car was. He went and he won Amber, America's Best Roadster. And like 3 years ago, build was like $180,000 or something to do the Roadster. And he come back this year and was like, okay, I want to win another one. So like, here's the car back. And they're like, okay, it's going to be like $300. And he's like, what? Like, it's already done. He's like, no, it's not, because everything has to change.
Yeah, you can't just like...
He's like, you can't... He goes, the chassis was body matched. He goes, so we have to pay somebody to strip the powder, re-powder coat it, whatever color we're going to go with this time. He said, we can't take the same motor. He goes, because everyone knows the car. He's like, you get one shot to win, and if you don't win...
You start over.
You have a $180,000 car that didn't win Jack Diddley squat.
Yeah, I mean, it might go win a local car show, or it might
win
something
it's gonna,
like that. Yeah, it's going to win trophies at all these other shows, but winning a Riddler or even winning something at like SEMA or anything, I mean, you're going against Chip Foose, Ken Diggett, you're going against all those guys. I mean, and look at what Ken Diggett had to do to pretty much win a Riddler. I mean, he had to create a car that's not even there, you know what I mean? Like, and don't get me wrong, it looks just like a Corvette, but it's still, you know, it's based off of a Corvette anyway. But
yeah, it's those aluminum aluminum version of his production.
But I think the one that he built and he just won with the Riddler was all carbon fiber, wasn't it?
Yes, it was carbon
one
fiber.
Of all carbon fiber.
It was a carbon fiber rendition of the aluminum car that they typically build.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the money that was spent in that thing just to win that award.
To get told, good thing Foose didn't show up. He got told that at the award ceremony, and I'm like, I'd punch somebody.
Yeah, I would probably get upset too. The same thing with hers. You know, if I mean, if somebody in Acro comes over to me and is like, "Oh, well, you should have done this, you should have done that," I'm going to want to punch them right then anyway. It's like, where were you at when I was building it? You know what I mean? Like, and even if I didn't want to do that, I built it for her and what I could do. So that's it.
Well, and there's also that's another big difference is you're building it to enjoy it. You're not building it for other people's approval.
Exactly.
You know, that I went on a rant probably 3 or 4 episodes ago about that because I fell into it. I was like, oh, it's got to be traditional and doing this chassis because it's got to be perfect, you know. I'm like, wait a second, it doesn't. I'm going to do it my way. Like, I'm the one driving it, so like if you don't like it, you turn around.
Yeah, and with her truck, I've mainly like, you know, we went to LS thinking, okay, LS reliable. It's hardly ever gonna know anything go wrong. If something does go wrong, go to AutoZone and get parts.
And that's another benefit of using a modern part
train.
You know, go try to find tractor parts at your local AutoZone.
6-volt stuff. Yeah, you're probably gonna have a hard time.
It's a 4N tractor motor. Yeah. I would have a better shot going to Tractor Supply and buying parts for it than I would AutoZone.
Yeah,
and we all know that Tractor Supply sucks. So for everything, not so expensive.
Well,
I sent Ashley to go get a 1 by 2 foot piece of steel to patch that where the fuel tank come through.
Yeah.
She come back. She's like, "It was this much," and I'm like, "For what?"
Yeah. So I had a pinch one time and needed literally like I could not find anything in the garage, and I needed like a 1 by like 3 inches wide piece of sheet metal just to finish a whole job. And I went up to Tractor Supply, got a piece of metal. What I got was like $54, and I'm like, I could have bought a 4 by 10 sheet for $54 more. Like, what the heck am I doing? But that's miscalculation on my side that I didn't have enough metal.
Yeah, but it's all part of it. I mean, and metal supply. I mean, we're unfortunately not right next door to a metal supermarket or any of those other, you know. And then online want to charge you twice as what you're paying for them to get it shipped to your house, and you have to have a forklift.
Yeah, shout out to Meeks Plumbing for letting me go pick it up.
Meeks Metal Delivery?
Yeah, Meeks Plumbing, Meeks Metal Delivery. But yeah, it's definitely going all the way to Ocala just to get metal, you know what I mean? So
I got a job in Ocala. I need a job in Ocala. Anybody?
Yeah, got to plan my metal getting around plumbing jobs.
Just stack the toilets on top of it. It's fine.
Move it to the side. It'll slide in there.
So, well, basically, recap is getting started on my chassis soon.
Yep. Got Kenna's truck.
Kenna's truck is heading in the direction of completion.
Kenna's both trucks.
Oh, yeah. Both of Kenna.
One's crawling to the finish line. The other one's kind of jogging right now. So,
Ashley, hit us with the dates.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just the one on Father's Day, June 16th, our monthly cruise, meeting at Napa and going to barbecue and ice cream.
Rain or shine.
Yes.
Don't matter.
What
time is that?
Oh, thank you. It's like I don't do this. We're meeting at Napa at 10:30, and then about 11 or so, we usually head to our destination.
10:45, 11.
Yeah.
Basically depends on how many people are there.
And how hungry we are.
Cool.
Yeah. And anybody that doesn't like barbecue and ice cream, blame my dad.
Yep.
We've never been, so.
I put out a vote.
It's pretty good.
I put out a vote for all the dads, and my dad was the only one that voted, so my dad gets to go.
In all fairness, he also did put in the first votes.
Yeah.
It was right after the last cruise, that same day. So we get to put in our votes, right?
At least he's supportive towards the whole deal, though.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is. That's my mom and dad have supported. They've been to every single cruise.
Yep.
And they only missed one gathering.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was one thing about that I kind of missed the most is like mine was pretty supportive towards anything I wanted to do, whether it was racing, whether it was building trucks, and he would definitely be in heaven right now for if he was around here for seeing what we're doing.
Hey, we're keeping it alive for everybody, though.
Yep.
That's a fact.
And you got, 11 years to get that extended cab done for Cooper? So,
Yeah.
He wants to paint everything blue.
Yeah, he's a sucker for blue, so
He's mad that we're painting mine green. He wants it blue.
Oh.
I had a Ford Ranger in the back that I was going to build for him, but I have this dream of a frame I want to build, but I just haven't, and I'm probably going to build it eventually, like for him, but not really for him at the same time, as hypocritical as that sounds. But I'll probably end up painting it blue because whatever I build, it's going to be something that's, needs a good paint job, and a lot of people do like blue. So
yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's part of. I mean, I was fortunate that I had people in my life, my dad being a big one, that kind of got me started in cars. And now we don't have any kids of our own, but I try to be that person that's at a car show, like, hey, you like it, sit in it. Like,
I was the same way, especially with the race car. Like when young kids would come around with the race car and stuff, I'd jump in there. Just make sure you don't hit no switches, but jump in there. You can sit in the seat, you can do whatever you want to do in there. Yeah, it was the younger generations is the one that you got to find to keep everything going.
Yeah. For sure.
And we got to get the older generation back driving their shit again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They have cool cars. Bring them out.
Yeah, I need to see that blue truck of your dad's again. I didn't really get to look at it last time I saw it, so
It'll be there Father's Day.
it catches my eye quite a bit. So.
It'll be their Father's Day, and then it might spend some time over here. So we got some work to do on that.
Yeah.
But
Well, thank y'all for joining us from
Yeah.
VP
Thanks for
Customs.
having us.
thank y'all for joining us, and for everybody that's listening, make sure you go check out the show notes. I'll put a link to their Facebook page.
Yep. And check out Throttle Attic using the code word HOTROD. You get to save 15% off.
All right, guys. Till next time, get out and drive your shit.
See ya.
See ya.